it comes to controversy, I can imagine some people who would say, well, that's not fair. You, American citizens should be the ones who are given first preference, although you said they would be last in line. Um, what guarantees are there that they may not be first in line? Or should they not be first in line? Should they be last in line? Should they be in line?
Well, I mean, right now it is, so it's like Rosa said, right now the money will go to residents and citizens first, and then if there's money left over, that's when undocumented students can apply for that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be money for them. They're always going to look at citizens and residents first and give that chunk of money to them before they look at undocumented students.
Well, yes, go on.
Well, but you know, Henrietta, I think you make a good point. I think some people say, I don't want any of my tax dollars going to undocumented students for some of the reasons you stated. And I think that what those people don't realize is that there's undocumented people paying taxes. And so if I'm an undocumented person and so are my parents, and my parents are paying taxes here in California, although they're not working with a legal status, I should be able to get in-state financial assistance.
Well, at the same time, I can imagine those people who would say, yes, undocumented people are here paying taxes, but they shouldn't be here at all. And therefore, should be the crackdown against deporting those who are here without the right documentation. And what would you say to that?
And that's kind of the bigger immigration question in general. And I think one thing that makes it complicated is that a lot of people who are here, they're seeking the better life that our forefathers were also seeking. And it's troubling, the idea that this nation of immigrants would suddenly say, okay, we've had enough. We don't want anybody else. You know, so I think that there are strong arguments on the other side that it's really un-American to say nobody but us, and, you know, and hypocritical.
Well, I would think the people would say, well, yes, we could be more understanding and accepting if times were good, if the economy were going gangbusters. But there is a recession going on, and these are people who some would say are taking away jobs from other people. And therefore, they would not be met with open arms.
That's a very interesting point, actually, because you know, I just read an article regarding farmers in Alabama, and as you had noted, you know, there are very strict laws in Alabama now, and these farm owners are reaching out and saying that all these undocumented people are fleeing Alabama and they're going bankrupt. They're not able to. Yes, they're not able to continue their farming business because all of their workers were undocumented. And they said, and we're trying to give these jobs to, you know, U.S. citizens and to residents, and nobody wants to do this work in Alabama. Nobody wants to be these farm hands. And it's really only undocumented people who are doing this work for us. And it's actually very troubling.
Sure, some would say that others would get the jobs. Some of the jobs that the undocumented immigrants have if they had a chance to do so. Now, Krishna, you said in an article that you wrote that the immigration laws are unfair.
Right.
What's unfair about them?
Well, I mean, like, I think that right now when we're analyzing the DREAM Act and immigration law, we're focusing on what is right now, that's the law and that's what people should abide by. But I mean, if you really look at it, it's really immoral and it's inhumane. You know, to be called illegal, for instance, it has a lot of people don't realize how much of an impact, how much of a psychological impact it has on people. And that's not a new issue. I think that was the same thing before the civil rights, when everyone used to bust out the N-word like it was nothing. It has a lot of...
But if someone is not here legally, then they're illegal.
Right.
That's what people would say, and that's a fact. And what's wrong with calling them illegal if they don't have the right documentation?
I mean, I think that that's the reason why we want to have this discussion, and we want to like talk about it to make sure that we move forward in the right direction. Yes, right now that's the label, but if we don't voice our opinions and we don't talk about the effects, then there isn't going to be a change. And that's really where I'm coming from. We need to look at the immigration system now and realize that it's broken and have these conversations to really change it and to say that it's not right to call someone an illegal immigrant.
I would think an illegal alien. Alien is a word that, let's say, pushes my hot button.
Right.
I think also, though, maybe with the term illegal, illegal doesn't even sound like a human. It sounds like a thing. Like it is illegal to run a stoplight, right? I think there's a dehumanizing effect in part because of that. It's not a term that you would normally use in a sentence when you're talking about a person. And then I also think another troubling piece about calling a person illegal is that there are a lot of people here who are fleeing human rights abuses, and their presence here after they've presented themselves before immigration, they actually turn out to be here legally, that it is a legally justified reason to be here. And the only people in our country who are capable or who are able to make that determination is the Immigration Service. So the local police cannot say this person is here illegally when they don't even know that person's background. They're fleeing horrible atrocities. Immigration may actually say, you're here legally, we accept you, we embrace you. So I think that's another